Hello YouTube, my name is Randy and I'm going to be doing a series on the installation of a mini split ductless air conditioning and heating system into my red iron steel building that we just finished building here last year. So at any rate, stay tuned and we'll see where we go with this. And here I have a shot that I took of the studs in the wall and the additional mounts that I put on the inside of the wall to actually support the bracket for the mini splits compressor system. And those are these brackets right here. So as you can see, I notched. These are all treated wood, by the way. But I notched them to actually fit flush up against the wall. For some reason or another, I have one rib that sticks out a little bit more than the others. I can't tell you why. I did not put this metal up. If I did, it wouldn't stick out further. It'd be flush. So there you have it. This mount, I will actually put a link to it, is exceptionally strong. It'll be just fine for our 30,000 BTU unit. Right now I've got the leg spaced 24 inches apart, which is precisely where I want it. So my building is roughly 1,000 square feet floor area. I have 14.5 to 15 foot walls and a mezzanine up above. I selected a 30,000 BTU unit to go in this shop. The unit I selected for this install is a Tosot 30,000 BTU mini split air conditioning and heating system. It comes complete with 16 feet of tubing and cabling, the inside and outside unit. It does have a remote control, and it's also operable from an app, or you can connect it to your smart home system like I will, utilizing Amazon's Alexa product. Over here you see some of the various electrical components that I will show you how I install. I am a retired engineer, and so this process is not entirely new to me by any stretch. I would urge you to, if you're not familiar with working with electricity, that you go ahead and hire an electrician to do this for you. I'll be showing an install in my circuit breaker panel to the outside disconnect unit, and then from there to the outside condenser unit. This particular unit requires two 30 amp circuits of 220 volts, and so that's why I selected this box, which is 60 amp disconnect. It doesn't have fuses inside. It doesn't have a circuit breaker inside. What it has is it has the required switch. You can get these at your local Lowe's or any of your other electrical supply houses, Home Depot, etc. You'll need a lot of various parts and pieces, and I'm going to go over that a little later on. You're going to need, for a 30 amp circuit, you're going to need 10 gauge THHN wire, and you're going to need the accompanying whip, and this goes from the outside disconnect unit to the air conditioning unit itself. So this is my shop as I had framed it out and then had the spray foam done. You see up at the top, I marked all of the studs, where the studs were. All right, now here's the wall finished. I took and transferred some of those stud marks to blue tape and then utilized a long level to figure out where they're all at. Then I also, see if I can zoom in on this, those are the ribs, the wide ones that you see up there. Well, what I did was I transferred the measurements down to my wall. There's the ribs, the blue tape is where the studs are. We want to try and aim between the ribs, but not hit a stud when we punch holes through for our electric, which is going to come off of this panel here. And then also for our AC hoses, that's going to come down through the wall down here. I've already marked this where I want it to go. You can see the blue line is a stud. That yellow L in the bottom, so that's the rough outline of the outside unit and where it is. Now what I'm going to do is, and I'm going to take you along in this ride, is I'm going to go ahead and mount the inside unit pretty much centered over the window. I am going to run the AC lines down the inside of the shop, and then I will build a raceway all along here and then up, or my wiggly finger, to the outside, or the inside unit rather, up here. And why am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to show you in just a minute. So this is a typical mini split install. I did this one a few years ago. Another Tosot unit, which by the way is still working fine. If you take a look at that line as it's run around the outside, it has really taken a beating in the weather. So it's hot here. This is Texas. It's very hot. And I don't care what you wrap it with, it's just not going to hold. Okay, here's a case in point right here. If you take a look at these lines that run to my two outside compressors on my home, I've had to wrap them and wrap them and wrap them again, last time with foil, to try and keep them protected. This just isn't something I want to do going forward. Okay, so here we are back in the shop, and you know, you're probably wondering, well, you know, there's got to be some sort of a problem with running those lines on the inside versus the outside. And really, you know what, it's only aesthetics. The only reason that they're run on the outside is it's more aesthetically pleasing on the inside of a home or maybe a garage, you know, where people would not want to have those lines exposed. Well, you know, I'll tell you what, I am concerned about aesthetics, but I'm more concerned about function over form. So there you have it. We'll be back in just a little bit. I'm going to start centering up my upper mount and get that mounted here pretty soon. I've already marked my center point, and I am going to go ahead and pre-drill and screw. Yes, I use screws to do everything. Okay guys, there you have it. I've got 3 across the top into studs. the center one, which is actually just into the OSB itself. The bottom left one is just barely into the stud, but it's holding good in the OSB. And along the right side, you'll see two of them that are actually anchored very well in the studs. Okay, so in this segment, I'm going to cover the preparation and installation of the inside unit, which is also known as the HVAC's evaporator system. This is the unit that hangs up high on the wall, and it contains obviously your evaporator coil, refrigerant, and the blower assembly, and the fan direction assembly. It's actually relatively heavy, so Tosot puts the entire package together as about 140 pounds. I think that this inside unit is every bit of 45 pounds, maybe even closer to 50. At any rate, it's a good idea to have some help when you're doing this, and yeah, so you don't have any incidents. Okay guys, so what we're going to cover right now is more of the preparation of the inside unit, or the evaporator if you will. And this part is going to deal with the wiring. This is, I'll zoom in here. This is your manual, and I encourage you of course to RTFM or read the Flamin' manual and understand what you're looking at here. If you're not comfortable in dealing with electrical things or electricity in general, please, by all means, find a pro to help you out with this. So, with that said, we're going to take a look at the wiring that we've got here. And so what we've got is what they call red with brown. Well, it looks red with a brown on it, a black, and a white with blue, and then there's our green, or our ground. Now, in here, they will say green or yellow green, so I don't know what you're going to receive with your unit, but this is what I got with mine. So I'm going to show you now how we're going to go ahead and get this wiring routed. Bear with me here. Just a quick walk around here. This hose right here is your condensation hose. Of course, we have our two refrigerant lines. We have our high pressure and low pressure side. I clamped this insulation back just a little bit, because otherwise it scooches forward and it covers the fittings themselves. As you can see, there's a retention strap here. There's no reason to mess with that strap, so you can just leave that alone. On the inside unit, you'll see that there are cutaways on both sides. Now, I'm not entirely comfortable with the notion of taking these copper lines and turning them 180 degrees to come out this side. That seems to me that it's going to be putting quite a bit of bending into that copper. Now, turning it 90 degrees to come straight out, as though you were going to go right through the wall, which most of you more than likely will be doing, that's going to be fine. In my particular case, I'm going to go ahead and cut away these plugs here, and I'm going to run the HVAC lines and the condensate line out this side, because as you may recall, I'm going to go ahead and run my refrigerant lines, the electrical, and the condensate line through a racetrack, or a raceway rather, on the inside of the building. As you can see, I've already got my mount in place. It's level. I've got 2 ladders. I'll be having a friend come over a little later to assist me in getting that up there. You see where the yellow tape is on the vertical and the horizontal? So that yellow tape is basically going to tell me where the top of the unit is going to be and where the center of the unit is going to be. So when you're standing up on top of a ladder and you go to hang that unit up there, you want to know that you're hanging it basically in the center where it's supposed to be. That said, those hooks will actually go right in here, and I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on those hooks for you. There's one, there's the other. All right, guys, just about 15 seconds and a handy little utility knife, and I was able to cut through the reliefs and go ahead and pop that tab out. So I've got room to move my hoses through this end of the inside unit. I want to show you something here which I think is kind of neat. So here's your high and low pressure lines. So the high pressure line is the smaller of the two. The low pressure line would be more apt to kink when you're bending it. And so what Tosot has done is they have actually installed or had the line made with roughly 18 inches of convolution in the tubing to allow it to bend without kinking. And this is actually on both sides, both of them about the same length. And so if you have need to cut your line shorter, just be aware that if you cut, you're not going to be able to cut in this area right in here. You're going to have to cut it back in here beyond that area and do the appropriate flares in order to get the tubing to reconnect properly. So your high pressure, your liquid line is this thin guy right here. Okay guys, so at this point I'm about ready to connect up our lines or refrigerant lines to the evaporator unit or the inside unit. I just wanted you to see and hear, and hopefully I'll be able to do this without dropping my phone, that these are already charged with nitrogen, and you can hear it. Let that escape slowly. So this is normal, and we're going to be evacuating the whole system. So best idea is to actually do this when it's as dry as possible. The relative humidity inside the shop right now is roughly 60%, so it's not too terrible. Just about done here. And there it is. Now on the end, you're going to see a rubber seal, and that actually needs to come off. So we have totally exposed the flare end of the fitting. And then of course we got the same thing on our low pressure side, which is a larger tube. So I've already cracked this loose, and you can see that the gasket stayed in place there. Now I'm just going to start this on here just until I'm ready to connect the tubing, and then I'll disconnect and plug the tubing on the other end to try and keep some of the humidity down. Okay guys, now this is not an absolute requirement, but I've learned a long time ago that Bldg, and I'll try and leave a link for it. It's about 12 bucks for a bottle. It's a really nice sealant that you can use on the bell end of your flare. And you can put just a little bit on the threads. You don't need much. I'm talking about 1 drop on the threads and 1 drop on the bell of the flare. Smooth it around, you know, with your gloved finger, and that should do it for you. That'll just help make the seal that much better. It's an anaerobic sealant. It never hardens. Okay, let's see what we can get out of this. Just take 1 drop, pretty much all that it takes. And we spread that around on the bell end of the flare. This will not poison your system whatsoever. As a matter of fact, it's totally non-harmful. And I'll put just another little drop on the threads. And we'll call that good. All right. That's a 24 millimeter, by the way, otherwise known as a 15/16 in SAE sizes. We're going to go through torquing here in just a little while. Okay, so that's snug. And that's all it needs to be for right now. It's just snug. Okay, now we're going to connect the high pressure. By the way, if you do have to cut and reflare these ends, make sure you use a very good high quality flaring tool, because if you don't, you will not get a good flare. You want to make sure that you don't work harden this flare too. It is copper, and copper and aluminum, other non-ferrous metals, all harden. Well, actually all metals harden as you work them. So take that end off. And so you can set that aside. That's a 9/16, otherwise known as a 14 millimeter by the rest of the civilized world. 1 dot. Pretty much 1 dot. Seal up our leak-proof sealant. I know you guys are getting a charge out of that. I know I am. And we are snug. You'll see that I've got this clamp over here. Well, I don't know if you can see it at all. I have clamped the insulation away from the end of the flare, because actually once I loosen this up, that insulation will actually slide right over the end there, and I needed it out of the way. So there you have it. I'll be back in just a minute and we'll go ahead and do the torque sequence. Okay, fellas, I just pulled the bonehead move. I thought I pushed the record button while I was torquing and it wasn't recording. At any rate, I use crow's feet wrenches in my inch-pound torque wrench. Now, if you look at this chart here, I have converted their foot-pounds over into inch-pounds. 12 to 14 foot-pounds is 144 to 168 inch-pounds. And that's for your high-pressure line. That's not a lot of torque. And then we've got the low-pressure line, 45 to 47 foot-pounds, which actually I think is a little high, but I went ahead and followed it. That's 540 to 564 inch-pounds. And inch-pound torque wrenches like this one are generally 3/8 drive, and should work quite well for you. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and allow the insulation to go back where it wants to go, which should be over the end of the fittings. By the way, if you don't have Irwin clamps in your shop, you need to get them. They're just handier than pockets on a shirt. Yeah, you heard that right, pockets on a shirt. Pretty handy. I'm going to go ahead and zip tie these into position. I'll do that off camera. You don't have to suffer through that too. So here we go. This is our unit, and this is the bottom side, or really the point that's pointing down. There's your airflow director right here, and there's a cover here. They don't talk a whole lot about this cover. Actually, they don't talk about the cover at all. So how are we going to route the wiring? Well, step around here. You just lift the cover up. Okay. Grab some piece of styrofoam from the packaging and wedge that in there. Kind of give us a little bit of support so the lid doesn't come crashing down on us. Right over here, zoom in on it, there's an access panel. Now that access panel will actually lead us right to the point where we are going to be connecting up. Now this is a schematic that for all intents and purposes you don't really need to pay attention to, except for down at this end. At this end you can see the various colors. They have black, brown, and looks like blue perhaps. And that goes to the inside unit. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and pause here. Oh, no, I won't. I'll go ahead and try and do this live. I'm gonna be a little bit jittery, but that's okay. So we take our Phillips screwdriver,
Wasn't point all the way out. Isn't that the way it always goes? Right.
now it is. Set the screwdriver down. And this just lifts up and wiggles out to reveal our electrical connections. So here you'll see, I'll zoom in on it. This is a sprain relief. We're going to be taking that loose too. I'm grabbing my screwdriver again. And I wanted to do this real time with you guys rather than doing it ahead of time and then just telling you about it. I think you're probably on this channel and watching this video because you've either not done this before or you're just really curious how Bigfoot Randy does it. Okay. This strain relief, just pull the screw out. Strain relief comes out. We set that aside. Okay, so where does our wiring come from? Well, our wiring actually comes up from the bottom, or the back side of the unit. And we'll go ahead and face this up. So right up in there you'll see a hole in there, and that's the hole that your wiring needs to pass through. Coming back on the top here, I will try and get the camera to point down there. Well, you can just barely see it. Down in there. So what I'm going to do is, pause here for a moment. I'm going to use a length of, I think this is 10 gauge wire that I had left over. And I'm going to go ahead and fish that down from the top. Isn't that the way it always works? So, okay, I went ahead and fished that wire down through there. I'm going to Try and get the camera up there so you can see. Hopefully that's in the viewfinder there so you can see that where the wire is coming through. Okay, so from here, I'm going to pause you and put you on. Okay guys, back at it again. So here we have our wiring. I'm going to go ahead and just, they're both identical, so it doesn't matter which end you start with, you're going to end up in the same place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of our blue tape here, and I'm going to go ahead and tape up the wiring. All right. The miracle of technology. So pro tip, when you put your fish wire down through there, put a little hook in it so it won't fall out like mine did. We're going to go ahead and carefully fish these wires on up. Reaching underneath to help guide them through. And there we have it. So let's see if I can do this without knocking it all back down the hole again. Kind of new at this videotaping stuff in case you hadn't figured it out. All right, we're done with this wire for now. We can set it aside. That's my version of setting it aside. It's on the floor. Now these aren't captive screws, so be careful that you don't take them out so far that you drop the screw down into the electrics. Green wire. And I will take a photo of this and post it here also. Okay. Our next wire over is the red with brown. Not only do I have big feet, I have big hands. And then our next wire is the black wire, moving from right to left. Now the black and the red are actually moving the hot lines. So as you know, with AC current, you have hot and you have neutral and you have ground. Well, in this particular case, we're 240 volts. Not only do we have one hot, we have two hots. Make sure all your connections are nice and snug. And while you're at it, you might want to check the factory connections to be snug also. Okay, all snug. All right. So now we go back with our strain relief. Pardon me for blocking your view. Our strain relief just tucks in. screws in. And don't get too carried away because with tightening these two super tight, because this is just plastic. And we know what plastic likes to do. Plastic likes to break. Okay, I'm going to take the camera off the tripod. Give you a little better view. So, right to left, we have our green, which is our ground. We have hot 1, which is red, hot 2, which is black, and then we have our neutral, which is white with the blue. I'm going to go ahead and reverse the procedure and install the cover, and then I'll be back in just a little bit. Okay guys, so while I was working at trying to get my lines pulled up to the point where I could put them in a raceway, I realized I was actually starting to lift up the whole unit. So it's a good idea. They don't tell you to do this, but I'm putting locking screws in at the top to keep you from actually accidentally lifting it off. Okay, so what I did here was I shaped a 2x6 with about 4.5 inch radius on the end, and that's what I'm going to use as a mandrel to bend the tubing. That way we get a nice gradual bend. I obviously can't, I'm working on a ladder, I can't do this video while I'm in the process of actually bending the tubing. But you get the idea. Okay guys, so well, in the process of bending the tubing where I needed it to go, you can see I had to add some additional guides in there. Plus, I decided to go ahead and use some of these 1¼ PVC conduit clamps to hold everything in place, at least temporarily, until I can get the racetrack built. Racetrack being 2 2x4s on either side of the lines and then a cap over the top. Okay guys, so just like on the inside unit, the outside unit here, we're going to put just a little dab of Bldg blue right around the conical end of the seal. And you can put just one little dab on the threads. Back in a minute. Okay guys, now we do it the same way on the high pressure side. The high pressure side is the smaller of the lines. Again, it doesn't take much. Just a little dab or so. Put just a little bit on the threads. I don't know if you can see that. It just doesn't take much. Now, one bottle of this stuff will, well, for most of us guys, it'll last us years. All right. So you gotta get the tube aligned with the fitting, okay? So you don't cross thread anything. Now I can't hold the phone and film this, so I'll be back. Okay, well, I got them tight. Sorry, I screwed up and I didn't show the torquing again. Anyways, I did the torque chart for you earlier. Use crow's feet and an inch-pound torque wrench. Pretty easy. Okay guys, it's helpful tip time. So this is the pass-through for the electrical box where our electrical connections go through, and as you can see, it's got punch outs. You know, back 20 years ago or so, they used to make punch outs that you could actually punch out relatively easily. These, not so much. So I'm going to show you a quick trick that I use, and hopefully it works, because I've used it before. We'll see if it works again for you. Now here I've got a, what is it, about a 7/8 inch socket. It fits around that punch out. Put that down. I'll take an extension, put it on there, and then whack it with a hammer. Presto changeo. That's all it takes. Then you twist the rest off with the pliers, and we're all good to go. Look at that, 2 for 2. I don't know, maybe I ought to go buy, I don't buy lottery tickets, never mind. I'll be back with the next segment. Okay fellas, this is it. This is the part a lot of you guys are waiting for, and I know it. This is where we're going to go ahead and hook up our electric. So just pay close attention, and if you have any questions, just drop them in the comments and I'll do what I can to answer them. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the electrical cover off. This cover right here will bring in both of our signal and power wires that go up to the inside unit, and then from our whip, which is required in most states now. I've gone ahead and routed that, and both of those are going to come through here. So for sake of speed, I'll use my impact driver. I don't advise using impact drivers on sheet metal parts when you're putting things together. It's just all too easy to strip things out. Okay, set that aside for right now. On an earlier segment, you saw how I took this off earlier, and I went ahead and punched out the knockouts to make it easier for you all. Now what we have right in here is we have what's called strain reliefs. Now there are 3 screws holding the strain relief in place. Pretty much all these screws are the same throughout the assembly of the outside unit. And there's a little strap there to retain them. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and route my signal cable first. Get it over on the other side of these tubes, okay? And if we go back to our handy directions, you'll see there's two different sections here. The top section is your 230 volt, the bottom section is your 115. We're dealing with 230 volts here. This is a 30,000 BTU Tosot, and so just follow along. Basically, you just hook it up the same way on the outside as you did on the inside, left to right. So here we've got, I don't know if we can see that here. I'll drop that for a second. Okay. We have green on the far left, that's our ground. Then we have our white with blue. We have our black, and we have a red with brown. Left to right, going to L1, which is line 1, line 2, and line 3. Okay. So just follow along here. Unfortunately, they didn't give us a strain relief to go along with this, so I just happen to have this one in one of my cabinets. So this is also required by code in many locations. This is a pretty good quality whip. It's got the appropriate size. It's got the appropriate size wire. It's a THHN. There's really nothing wrong with the wiring that came from Tosot, but you'll find that their wiring was 12 gauge. This wiring is 10. Okay. And give that just a couple little jabs here with a flat screwdriver. All right. Okay, guys, got my wire straight. I've already cut these to length. Forgot to start the video again. And really, on most of these, you only need to cut about 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch off, because it's actually going to be going up underneath a little serrated plate that traps it in place. So okay, guys, well, my phone went and overheated and it shut itself off, and I'm not exactly sure where it was in the process when it shut down, but I went ahead and finished terminating the hots for our inputs. I put our strain relief in place just in order to hold the wires up. There's something interesting here. So Tosot was thinking ahead here. You see how this wire has got a blue chaser? Well, guess what it hooks up to? Hooks up to the same strip as this blue. And the red wire with the brown chaser right there. And it hooks up to brown. And of course black to black. So I'm going to put this back in the stand. Hopefully it will record long enough for me to finish this segment. So here we go. We've got our blue. Loosen the screw 2 or 3 turns. Black. And brown. So let's go ahead and get the brown one in first. So you want to get the fork, okay, this part of the terminal underneath the pinch plate being right under the screw, and then go ahead and tighten it down. You don't have to tighten it like you got a week to live or anything like that. It's nothing that super serious. No torque specs per se. I imagine there is, but I don't know what they are. The black wire is now in place. And now white with blue.
Just being a little bit crabby with me. Because I gotta loosen it up in order to turn.
Okay. And now it's in place. And tight. Now we'll take and adjust our string relief just a little. Okay. Now we will take our ground wire. I'll just pass this around. Got a lot of extra length on this. And the ground wire gets put underneath the green screw. Green to green. So green to green, left to right. We got green, we got blue, we got black, and we got brown. White with the blue, black, red with the brown. All right.
And it's right here. All right. Not a big deal. You have leftover screws? You screw it up. Find out why. A little bit. All right, now we're ready to put the cover in place.
Okay guys, now it's time to do the thing most of you have been waiting for. We're going to be charging the system, but before we do, I want to go over a couple of things with you first. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take your yellow hose, connect it to your vacuum pump, and then on the other end, that's connected tightly to your gauge cluster. The blue end, which is the low pressure side, and you can see our right in the center of your screen there, you see that angular fitting. That's the fitting that we are going to connect to the gas side. And then we're going to go ahead and start pulling a vacuum on this thing. We're going to pull a vacuum for, I would say, this is a pretty big unit. This is 30,000 BTU. I'm going to go ahead and pull the vacuum on this thing for probably 30-45 minutes. And then we will shut the pump down. We will close the valve. That's the valve right there, the blue valve, in order to seal off the pump. And we will wait. And we will wait another 30 to 45 minutes to make sure that our vacuum, right now we're not holding any vacuum, is going to be staying down around the -30 or -100, whichever scale you like, metric, PSI or kilo, what is it, kilopascals? I'm not entirely sure. Anyways, we want to make sure that that stays put for a good 30 to 45 minutes, maybe even longer. I might even go get lunch. So I'm going to put you on pause here and we'll get things connected and start going. Okay, let's get us connected. and turn on the pump. And open the valve. It's really that simple. It's not a big thing at all. You can see we are pulling a -30, which is good. And we're just going to let this run for 30-45 minutes. Okay guys, it has been a little over 45 minutes. So at this point, what we're going to do, we take a look at it here. We are still pulling a -30. We're going to close our valve. Okay. And turn off our pump. And now we wait. So we're going to wait. Make sure our valves are all shut. Okay, we're going to wait now about another 45 minutes, maybe an hour. And if we don't have any leaks, it'll still be right where it is right now. It's pointing at -30, -100. And so I think we're good so far. Okay guys, it's been a little over an hour. I'm checking our gauge here. And we are still at -30, -100, which means we have no leaks. So what we want to do is we want to turn counterclockwise, okay? Slowly open that up and we watch our pressure come up. Open that a little bit. Open the low pressure. And we're watching our pressures come up. Now, when you open these valves up, you've got to turn them all the way because there's two seals in the valve. There's a seal when it's all the way shut and a seal when it's all the way open. Otherwise, you might end up with a leak, and we don't want leaks. So, as you can tell now, we've got, let's see here, right close to 260 pounds of pressure, which is more pressure than what the other unit had in it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and put these caps on here. And we will disconnect our valve. You'll see a little bit of leakage. Okay, our gauge returns to 0. And we don't have to cap these super tight, just snug. Okay guys, so we have evacuated the system. We found we've got no leaks, and now it's time to put power to the Tosot 30,000 BTU mini split system. To the breaker panel. And here we go. Oh, heard a beep. All that's encouraging. Okay, so let's take our remote control here. I don't know if you can see that very well, but I'm going to turn the power on. Pointing it at the unit, I just heard a beep again. So currently our mode, we don't have a mode. Okay, all right, we're in cooling mode. Let's turn the temperature down. 61 looks like it. Okay. So it is blowing. Step outside here. And the unit has started. Very encouraging. It's so quiet. It's building up a little bit of speed. It's not very loud at all. I mean, you could sit down right next to it and have a conversation. I cannot believe how quiet these units are. Okay, so now there's settings on here to change our up and down swing. Let's push that. Okay, and now you see that air vane. Now it's moving up and down. It's moving down now. It's actually quite cool. And I mean cool as in chilled air. I don't have my my laser thermometer here. I'll try and get that in the next video. Let's see, and now we also have left and right swing. And now I can't see any difference in it, but the air does seem to be coming out stronger, and it's actually fanning it outward more rather than straight down. So, very nice. And very quiet. I think Tosot hit a home run with this system. It's quiet. And it's very clear. Okay, so let's at any rate, we've got it set at 61 degrees. There's timer settings on here. There's timer. There's sleep, so you can let it run for so long and then turn off. I'll be honest with you, I don't know what light is. I guess we can find out. Well, light just turned off the readout. Push it again and it turns it back on. Okay. We have our up and down swing. We have our humidity settings. So in other words, we can set the humidity at a specific level and then actually have the HVAC system remove additional humidity. Our left and right swing. We have our feels like temperature. Okay. We have a Wi-Fi setting. I'm going to get into that in the next video. We're going to go ahead and get this set up on our smart home system. And I utilize Alexa here. So that's what we're going to be doing. So stay tuned. Okay guys, now it's time to show you how the Alexa app works in conjunction with this Tosot unit. Okay, so right now the unit is shut down. Alexa, what's the temperature in the shop?
It's 81.7 degrees Fahrenheit in the shop.
Alexa, turn on shop AC.
I've turned on the shop AC.
Alexa, set temperature in the shop down to 61 degrees Fahrenheit.
I've set the shop AC to 61 degrees.
And there you have it. So here we are, just 5 minutes since I turned on the mini split. And look at the water that it's producing in just that amount of time. So the water is just about covering the bottom of the bucket, and it's catching up quite quickly. I'll be back. Okay guys, so it's an hour later, a little more than an hour, about an hour and 5 minutes. At any rate, I've got this bucket here, Folgers Classic Roast. It will contain a little more than a gallon of water when it's full. Let's see where we're at with this. This thing's making water like crazy. Try to keep it dripping in there. All right, here goes. Okay, I can't pour all the water in there. This bucket had probably an extra pint of water in it. And there you have it. That's the capabilities of the Tosot 30,000 BTU unit. Online for about an hour. The relative humidity here in Texas right now is 85%. And inside the shop, it has dropped substantially. But see, we are down to 54% inside. The temperature inside the shop has dropped from 80 degrees, or 82 degrees rather, down to 74 degrees in just an hour. 1,000 square foot shop, Tosot 30,000 BTU, get you some. Hi. So the 30,000 BTU unit in my workshop is an absolutely bang-on great setup. It's quiet, it's efficient, it removes water from the air far faster than even the best dehumidifiers I've known over the years. Let's talk about proven performance. If you check the reviews, Tosot or BTU units enjoy 4.5 to 5 stars on most sites, including Reddit, Amazon, Home Depot, and many more. My personal rating would be a 5. In my years of experience, I've worked on a number of heating and air conditioning systems within that span. I've personally installed a couple of these units and can say without a doubt the performance and quality is greater than the price you pay, so in my opinion, they're a good value. Tosot mini splits are manufactured by BTU. BTU is one of the top 5 manufacturers in the world, with roughly 30% of the units sold in North America. Support from their regional support team is just a phone call or an email away. So take it from Bigfoot Randy, you're not going to be sorry that you purchased and installed this system in your home or shop. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you down the road.